Hey, this is Adam. I'm a Catalyst Games Labs demo team member, number 139. I live in the beautiful and sunny Perth in Western Australia, which has two of my favourite things. First is alphastrike.com.au. If you're ever looking for Battletech stuff in Australia, that's the place to go. They deliver all over the country. Second, Tabletop Gamers Association. If you're looking for Battletech games, looking to hook up with other players, this is the club to go to. Their tables are fantastic, there's miniatures to use and all that sort of thing. So it's not just Battletech that they play, they do all the other games that most people love and play, tournaments, events, everything you can imagine. So check it out. We have a website online as well. Alright, let's get down to it. I had a couple of guys who were interested in taking a look at Alpha Strike. They approached me and said, look, can you show us the ropes? I said, sure, not a problem. So this was an introductory game at 30 points, so basic pilots. Team Alpha, they chose two mechs. One was an Awesome at 18 points, and the second was a Stealth at 12. The Awesome has lots of armor and good long-range support for its weapons, whereas the Stealth is extremely nimble. It can jump, it's got good weapons and armor, it's good. Team Bravo went for three mechs, so nothing heavy. We're talking lights and mediums here. They are all jump capable. Armor not as heavy, of course, so they're going to rely on their speed and cover. The Dervish does have the handy little ability of indirect fire with its LRMs. So as you can see, there are two different forces with two different fighting styles. So we're going to see how they go. Right, so beginning of turn 1. We've got Team Bravo who loses initiative, so they have to move their first unit. Just like in normal Battletech, you take turns moving one unit at a time. The terrain, just like in normal Battletech, will provide you cover, it will give you penalties to shooting, penalties to movement, things like that. First thing you'll notice, if you've never had a look at Alpha Strike before, is that there are no hexes on the board. Okay, normal Battletech uses hexes to move around. This is free-flowing, it uses inches. The models still use a hex base because there's fire arcs and things like that, but essentially, yes, it is very, very free-flowing. So Team Bravo was very clever here. He's used the cover there to provide penalties for the Awesome, who's the only mech that can shoot at that range, consequently missing. There was shots fired backwards and forwards, but everybody missed. So moving on to turn 2, we find the Javelin and the Jenner continue their moving around the top of the board there to engage with the Awesome. They still want to keep their speed up and get as much cover in between as they can. They don't have long range weapons, so they need to close the distance. The Awesome, he does a lot of damage, okay, so they have to keep their speed going there. So the Awesome decides to take a pot shot at the Jenner, but because of that high movement modifier and the woods, there's nothing that happens. The Dervish moves up to take protection behind the crest of the hill there from the Awesome, but because of the high movement of the Stealth, he's not able to get protection from that battle mech, so they close into short range and they start exchanging blows there. But because of the high movement of both sides, there's no connection here with the weapons. Those light mechs having such a high speed, they're going to end up closing with that Awesome in no time flat. So going into turn 3, Team Alpha loses initiative and decides to back away with the Awesome. The Awesome has the range, he can just sit back and pick away at whoever he likes. Unfortunately, the high speed of the Javelin and the Jenner who are coming after him, coupled with the fact that they're using the woods for cover, is making the shots quite difficult. Thankfully the Stealth is there in support. He ends up jumping into the rear of the Javelin and opening fire. The Javelin, being a light mech, doesn't have a lot of armor, and if you're shot in the rear in this game, it does an extra point of damage. So from that one hit from the Stealth, it actually goes into the internal structure. So the Javelin actually takes a critical hit in the form of a weapon hit. So he's actually now doing less damage through the rest of the turn, well actually for the rest of the game. As far as everybody else, they take their shots, but there's nothing that connects. Well, the Javelin pilot knows he's in trouble. We haven't bothered using the force withdrawal rules here, we're just letting people play until something's destroyed. That way you can spend more time learning the rules. But yeah, he basically needs to take some cover. But unfortunately, because of the high speed of the stealth, he's not going to be able to get away if the stealth decides to press the advantage and finish him off. The awesome, on the other hand, he needs to back up, and he's done that, putting his back against the building. He's got a nice fire arc there. He can see everything at the top half of the board. So it just comes down to find out what the Team Beta decides to do with that dervish sitting there behind the crest of the hill. So the dervish decides to take a shot at the awesome. The awesome is a slower moving unit, so the penalties to hit are reduced. A nice easy target, lots of armor to get through, but at least chances are you're going to be hitting. Unfortunately, that stealth is just so quick, so nimble. He jumps into the rear arc at short range and he just opens fire. Okay, well, luckily for the dervish pilot, the stealth actually missed with his shots. The awesome, on the other hand, he's not doing too well. Team Beta lines up all of his units to take a shot at that mech, and they all connect. It strips armor off him. He's gone internal. He's not looking too good at all. So this is how everything ended up at the end of moving for turn 5. Team Alpha, in an attempt to try and get all of Team Beta's forces out of cover, out from behind the crest of the hills so they can be shot easier, brings the awesome out into the open. They fall for it. They jump into the rear arc, so yes, they're going to do more damage, but this gives the chance for the stealth to actually pile on some damage into them as well. Unfortunately, yeah, the awesome gets shot and he goes down. It's quite bad. But on the flip side, the stealth was in an excellent position in the rear to take a shot at the dervish, which connected, so did some damage to him. There's still some armor left, so but any future damage is going to be quite critical. So let's talk a little bit about buildings in Alpha Strike. Buildings, just like normal BattleTech, you can move on top of them, you can move into them. They have a damage rating, so as soon as you do enough damage, it will collapse. It can support a certain amount of weight per level. So the players here would sort of, because it was just a friendly game, they're just sort of talking with one another as to which would be the best strategy to use. So using the buildings to give back protection would definitely be the way to go. However, the weight of the stealth, if he was to jump on top of any of those buildings, it could support his weight. So he could still get into the rear arc of something and really do a lot of damage. So the stealth, finding himself the only mech left on his side, decides to take advantage of some woods, get some cover, and see what Team Beta decides to do. As it turns out, those two guys stay together. They take cover behind the building, and they want to find out what the stealth is actually going to do next. But basically the players decided that, okay, well, the stealth, he's on his own now, so he needs to sort of get off his table edge. So basically the next couple of turns is Team Beta going to try and set up a kill zone so as he can't escape. So the start of the next turn, it's Team Alpha who wins initiative, so Team Beta decides to take up position in the woods closer to Team Alpha's deployment zone, because they know he's got to come towards them, and their range is up to medium, so medium range in this game is 24 inches. Unfortunately, there's nothing they can do because the stealth has such a high maneuverability, high speed. It's going to be able to jump into any bit of cover on its way out. So at the start of turn 9, we see the stealth. He tries to use the buildings for cover to make it harder for the rear arc shots to come into play. Unfortunately, the Jenner has quite a high movement. He ends up ending in the rear arc of the stealth. Team Beta opens fire, the stealth takes hits, and unfortunately he goes down. So there we have it, the introductory game for Alpha Strike. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for more of my videos later.